consumer preferences are changing very rapidly, and I'm specifically going to talk to you about how this is changing the face of retail and how brands have to interact with consumers to attract new customers and also retain existing customers. So with that, some key themes are the erosion of loyalty, the shift to omnichannel, both by native e-commerce and traditional brick and mortar entities, as well as the leveraging of first-party data to personalize individual experiences on D2C properties. So starting off, the erosion of loyalty is a key factor in these changing consumer preferences. There are really two key factors eroding loyalty, and the first is supply chain interruption. The Global Supply Chain Pressures Index, which is generated by the New York Fed, has increased over 2,000% since the beginning of the pandemic. Starting off with COVID lockdown that affected ports and factories worldwide, and then now in the most recent and continually ongoing interruption, which is based on the consumer demand surge that occurred really throughout 2021. In addition to all of this, we've seen historic increases in inflation across all categories, and some, as of February, even being at 50%, like gasoline. And so really what this is forcing customers to do is look for substitutes across the board, looking for substitute products and brands due to lack of availability and increased prices, and then also looking at substitute fulfillment methods now that we have to weigh, potential increases in surcharges for delivery versus the increase in gas, and deciding whether we really want to get up and go to the store after placing that online order. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal is because the stats show that there are no second chances with consumers. 3 out of 4 consumers have changed their buying habits since the start of the pandemic. Nearly 40% of that pool has admitted to changing brands or retailers as a result of those habits. And maybe even most alarming is nearly 80% intend to continue exploring options in the future. So as John Ferner said it best, people are always looking for something better. And so loyalty in retail is the absence of that something better. Now, there are many things that brands can do to try and mitigate this loss of loyalty, but one of the things that they can do without having to worry about external factors such as supply chain interruption or inflation are installing loyalty programs. And top performing loyalty programs can boost actionable data because of the amount that consumers are interacting with you, and then also increase revenue from these customers because they're redeeming points or rewards or whatever they are getting from that loyalty program. The problem is, according to McKinsey, 2 out of 3 fail to deliver value, and 1 out of 3 actually take away from the value of the standalone good or service. So what we wanted to do was highlight some of our favorites that you can maybe take some notes on. And really, out of these, Amazon and American Express are 2 that charge for their loyalty program and have continued to retain loyal members amidst price increases for those loyalty programs. So all of these companies have done a very good job at adding value to their goods and services with loyalty programs. One other major change in consumer preferences is where consumers are shopping and where brands are meeting them from an advertising perspective. You can see in the chart on the left that digital retail media spend, so we're talking about key players like Amazon, Home Depot, as well as some of the new faces that you can see in the second box on the right. We're talking about the amount of money that's being spent to reach consumers directly on these platforms. And it's going to near 20% of total digital ad spend by the end of next year. But it would be irresponsible to also not consider social shops. Now, they're not being considered in the chart on the left, but if we think about what social shops are doing, they are established media networks, and then they're adding a retail component. So they're actually trying to compete with the likes of Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, et cetera, in the fact that they've already got consumers on their platform, and they are going to try and add shopping functionality. Some have already done so that brands are enticed to try and meet consumers on those platforms instead. And another shift that these same brands are making is trying to be everywhere for these consumers. And that's one of the key preferences is we want to be able to get things when we want, how we want, and we want them delivered to us, or to be able to get them however we want to. And so part of that is being omni-channel so that we can be wherever that given customer wants us to be. On the brick and mortar side of things, click and collect and BOPIS are becoming increasingly important. Nearly 40% of Best Buy online orders are actually picked up in store, which is a very large amount. And Best Buy is not the only one. Obviously, we have a lot of retailers who are looking at Walmart's control, 25% of this $100 billion market, and seeing, oh, I want a piece of that. I have physical stores. I have an online component. Let me leverage these assets. But on the other side of things, digitally native brands are going physical, and we're seeing this in many different ways. Amazon opening brick and mortar stores. My favorite was Warby Parker, who filed for IPO in 2021 and pretty much came out and said, in order for us to justify this, in order for this to work, we actually need to double down on physical locations. And really, to cap this all off, customers are wanting personalized experiences. So yes, they're going to all these different retail media networks, and they are choosing how they want to interact with brands. But the root of it is that they want to feel like that brand or that retailer knows who they are. You can see on the left here, the percentages are high across the board in terms of customers who expect personalization, who become frustrated by a lack thereof, and also who are likely to refer friends and repeat purchases. And on the right here, you can see that the operative word in all of these survey questions is me or my, right? So doing these things, making sure that we are leveraging first-party data to learn more about our customers and then to put relevant suggestions, content, products in front of them will make them feel like we understand them more and will entice them to continue shopping through us and therefore continue giving us data that we can use to market. So overall, some key takeaways. First off, consumers are loyal to themselves first and foremost. As brands, we all have a little bit something special about us, but in the end of the day, our consumers are going to care about themselves. So whether it's price, product availability, fulfillment methods, we need to make sure that we understand our customers so that we know exactly how to interact with them and make them come back. And a big part of that is optimizing that user experience. Pat talked at length about the importance of first-party data and how it's at the forefront of digital media strategy. We need to leverage this data and consumer insights to create those individual experiences, because we all want to feel like we're in the room or on the website with somebody who knows what we want and knows how to give it to us. And finally, diversify, be everywhere, be omnipresent. If in the case that we don't know all the preferences of each individual consumer, then being in all these different places increases the chance that we are going to be able to provide any given consumer what they want. So these are definitely 3 key takeaways to latch on to for not only this year, but for years to come.